Hi and welcome to another battle report. This is 2500 points between my Bretonnians and my opponent's Dwarfs. So to start with his list, the black block over there is some long bridge with a runesmith in it. Then you have a unit of 20-ish thunderers. Behind that is a gyrocopter. Then you have an organ gun. The organ gun have some runes plus to strength, reroll 1 or 2 other dice. And you also have the special dwarf character behind that, the engineer. No, he's not behind, he's in the thunder unit. Then you have a big unit of warriors. Behind the warriors you have a gyrocopter, and in the warriors you have his BSB with the 5-up bubble ward banner and stubborn, and a general. I think he is a feign, but it didn't really matter during this whole game. He have a cannon and a big unit of hammers. So for my army list, to start, he have some miners that will show up later, and I have green knights who will show up later. And this is my left flank, and I have a trap in the corner. Then I have my BSB, he have the flame lance. Then I have my Bretonnian Lord on a peg. He have the Virtue of Ideal, so it basically is a Chaos Lord with the Sword of Might, Insignia of the Quest, and Charm Shell. Then I have 2 units of Pegasus Knights with Musician who have vanguarded up, some units of Bowmen behind that swamp, and some units of Fast Cav. So for my right flank I have 10 Peasant Archer. I have some vanguarded peg knights with a musician. Then I have a unit of 8 errant knights with a gleaming banner, and my level 2 with a dispel scroll in it, and she have a lot of life with the shield of thorns and awakening wood spells. And then I have some skirmisher archer in that ordinary forest, and I have a trap and some Knights of the Realm with the Twilight banner, which make me I can move through impossible terrain in the remaining move phase. With my level 4, a lot of life in, she have all the good spell, Flesh to Stone, Throne of Vines, Dwellers Below, and Regrowth. And that's basically my whole list. And since I am Bretonnia, he gets to choose who takes the first turn, and he takes the first turn. And this is after he movement. He takes his 2 gyrocopters in front of his organ gun to protect it from peg knights charges. The dwarf shooting wasn't as brutal as I thought. His organ gun only managed to do 3 wounds to my peg knights, and I think his cannon didn't hit my trap, and a thunderous shoot at some other peg knights, and I think I ward save it and didn't suffer any wounds at all. So that's the dwarf first turn. So this is my left flank. I take one of my peg knights into one of his gyrocopter, and I take the other one into the other gyrocopter. My hope is that one of the peg knights will overrun into his thunderous and hopefully grind them out. The other one will just stay there and protect the other flank from the warrior horde. I take my peasant fast cav up to stop his long bridge from charging either my Pegasus, and I took my other Pegasus knights out in the flank, hopefully charge something next turn. My general and my BSB move up, hiding behind that house because of he still have his cannons left, and I don't want a cannonball plowing through them. On the other flank I don't really do much. I pushes my errant lance up a bit so I can maybe cast Shield of Thorns on my Pegasus Knights if I need to, and I pushes my Realm Lance up to hopefully 6 dice Dwellers Below on his cannon and take that one out of the game. Well, in this picture it doesn't seem like a lot of things have happened, but in Magic Phase I roll like 5 dice, I have 5 dice Dwellers Below, and I failed. So that didn't do anything. Green Knight didn't show up this turn. In the shooting phase, one of my traps direct hitted his cannon and only did 1 wound. And then a peasant archer did another wound with an arrow. The other one just, I think, scattered off and killing like 1 warrior or something like that. And in combat, my Peg Knights flop. The first one with 2 win didn't do any wounds at all on this gyrocopter, and I only won by 1 and he sticks. And the other one I did manage to do 2 wounds, but I only won by 3, so he's loaded ship 7 and he stayed. And that's it for the Bretonnian first turn. So for the dwarf turn 2, and can you believe it, dwarf charge. His warrior horde charges, his longbeard charges my peasant fast cab, his hunters reform to face my Pegasus Knights on the left flank, his engineer jumps out of the thunderous and it's placed behind the organ gun. The hammers just pushes up a bit. These miners shows up next to my trap. I think in the shooting phase his organ gun tried to shoot my Peg Knights in the left flank, and he did 1 wound. He was shooting in hard cover and skirmish and stuff like that, and I could pass some ward shave. And his cannon hit my trap and I think rolled a 1 wound, so he didn't do anything at all. In combat, his warrior and gyrocopter obviously broke my Peg Knights and they ran away, and his gyrocopter ran into that forest. Then we took the other combat, and I actually managed to kill his gyrocopter, and then I reformed into conga line to be able to charge his organ gun between his hunters and his warriors. And of course his longbeard just slaughtered my fast cab and reformed to face my Peg Knight. Well, this is after my movement, and as you can see, his longbeard are actually facing inwards to the center, not out to the left to my Peg Knights. It's hard actually to see because the models are all black and no paint on them, but well, they are facing into the center anyway. I have charged the organ gun with my 3 Peg Knights. The other 3 Peg Knights are circling around his flank. My BSB flies up to lay down the flaming lance on his hunters, and my general stay behind his longbeards. I get a pretty good medic phase. I get off Gilliforns on my Pegasus Knight in combat with the organ gun. Unfortunately didn't manage to do any wounds on the organ gun, and then I tried to cast Awakening the Woods of his gyrocopter. He's partly in the forest, so it would be some harder hit, but he chose to dispel that spell. Well, so for shooting phase, as you can see, Green Knights have showed up in that lake. Of course, in the shooting phase, my bowman actually managed to plunk off the last wound of the cannon, so that's great. My trap next to his miner actually misfire and cannot shoot this turn. My other trap tried to hit his special character and it scattered backwards and hit my Peg Knights, killing one of them, and that's just, I don't know, it's sad, but I guess it's happened sometimes. Well, this is after his movement actually, but basically what he did, after I killed his organ gun, I overrun into that special character. He flank charged them with his warrior. His thunderous charges my battle standard bearer. Pretty much a questionable decision, I think, because he could have standing shoot at me, but otherwise he is move or fire, and so he cannot reform a fire, so maybe he should have charged. Questionable if he should, but well, he did that anyway. And that's it for movement, and you can see this gyrocopter to the right of this picture will move forward against my back line. His miner will of course slam into my trap. Well, in the combat with the Peg Knights and the Dwarf Ford, I won, and I'm heavy champion, and I break, and I run away from him. So he pursued. He only pursued 7 with his special character, but that's actually really bad for me because my plan was to charge him next turn with Green Knights, but as you can see, he's out of arc, so it was a bad placement of the Green Knights from my part anyway. And my BSP actually managed to kill like 3 Thunders, and he didn't do anything to me. I win, but he's steadfast and he holds. His miners of course destroy my trap and overrun, as you can see on this picture. Well, so over to Bretonnia turn 3, and I think this is my most brilliant movement in the game. I realized that his miners are gonna try to get me, so I try to march. I cannot do that, so I send the archers down into the swamp, hopefully to kill enough of them to actually have to take a panic test. And I killed 3 of them, had to take a panic test and failed it, and I run away from his Dwarf warrior, and I actually get away. As you can see in this picture, I'm far away and out of his charge arc. On this flank, I basically just pivot my skirmish archer to firing at his gyrocopter and pushes up my knights because he doesn't face me now, so I can just safely push them up a bit. Well, up here, my lord tried to charge his special character, needing an 11, failing, and he just stayed put because he cannot go anywhere. My other Peg Knights just, even though if look like they're standing like some weird position, they are supposed to stand in a conga line, but well, it's a friendly game. You can be a little bit sloppy at least. Well, the remaining of this turn 3 didn't go so well for me. In the medic phase, first I try to get off Throne of Vines, and he uses his spell, doesn't eat my spell, thank god. And then I tried Dwellers Below, and then he used the Dwarf Scroll thing. And in the shooting phase, my Treb tried to hit the gyrocopter down below this picture and actually scatter off to my errant land. So it's the second time in a row that my own Treb have hit my own unit instead of my opponent, but thankfully the blessing of the lady saved me this turn too. And in the combat, I don't think I do any damage, he don't do any damage, and I win by a standard, and he didn't break. And for his turn, what he do is basically what you can see in this picture. I think he also charges with his gyrocopter, charges down one of my peasant archer units down below and reforms to face my Treb. And in combat, well, I think I killed 1 or 2 Thunderers. He didn't do anything to me, and he holds because he is steadfast, and that's it for his turn 4. So for Bretonnian third force, my peasant archer keep on running, and they now running towards the enemy instead of away from them. And well, my Bretonnian lord and my Pegasus Knight unit decided to also charge that Thunderous unit, hopefully kill them all. This picture show that I get off a Dwellers Below on his warrior block, and a lot of them died. He only strength 3, so yeah, pretty easy to kill. I think I kill a lot more than average anyway, but no character died, at least for him. And you can see to the right of this picture, I took in the opportunity to move through that impossible terrain and take my realm lance up forward to go for the final kill. Well, in combat, I did manage to kill all of his, not all of his thunder, he had 4 left, so he weren't steadfast. I didn't have a rank, so we roll which direction they would run in. And fortunately for me, they run the right way and they run away from my lord. And as you can see, my peg knights run off the board, my BSP and my lord run a bit, but not as far. And that was my turn. So for dwarf turn 5, his gyrocopter charged my trap, and that's as well because this trap have hit my own unit 2 times, so it's pretty much deserves to die. And if they would survive the game, the knights would hang them anyway, so well, yeah, it doesn't matter if they die. And this is showing rest of his movement. He reform his warrior into 5 wide. He takes all his character and put them in the hammer unit, and that's his turn 5. So for the Bretonnian turn 5, I pretty much just place myself so I can basically, his warrior can never get away, so I can basically charge him with everything I got for the last turn, and they give me some points. Unfortunately, those archer, they failed to rally again, so they're running even closer into the danger zone. His gyrocopter, who had killed my trap previous turn, is there, so I couldn't get out of sight with my archer, so I just moved them into the forest to be steadfast for the next turn and hopefully stick for the last combat. Well, for dwarf turn 6, it's not much he can do. He basically just closed the box in, and he moves his battle standard bear over to his warrior to make them stubborn, and that's it for his movement. His gyrocopter goes in and he kills my... No, he didn't kill my archer, but he makes them flee and he runs them down. Well, finally I slam everything I got into that warrior. Green knights, my general, my BSB, a unit of pegs, and my knights of the realm. And as you can also see in this picture, the archer failed to rally again, even though they were in 6 inches with the BSB, so the elite ship 8 rerolled, they failed, they run through the unit and they lost 3 of the peasants. Most likely their knights killed them, not the dwarf. But yeah, they ended up all running from one table each to the other, just fleeing across the whole board. Well, in Magic I get off Chill of Horns on my BSB, kill some knights, and then I slaughter every single one of the warriors. He have his PSP remaining, he is stubborn and he sticks. And that's the end of the game. And when we count it up, it's a Bretonnian victory. He got 750-ish points of me, and I got 900 something points of him. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this battle. Thank you so much for watching. I see you around.